Hello and welcome everybody to the first session of the reality of artificial intelligence in medical coding. Oh, let me just start by saying, folks, that there's a lot to unpack here. And we'll probably never be done unpacking because this is an evolutionary thing. This is not a paint a picture and there you have the picture. This is going to be evolving and growing, and we'll talk a little bit about that, more about that evolutionary process as we go through today's session. I do want to start by saying, first of all, a few things. One, again, this is the first session of many, and that's as many as necessary, as many as it takes, as many as warranted, etc. Okay. And I want to start by conveying this message. Okay. Somebody had said to me, why are you trying to scare people? Okay. Now, the weatherman does not give weather reports to scare people. The weatherman gives weather reports so that people know what to expect and so that they can prepare appropriately. Okay. So I am more like the weatherman than the boogeyman. Okay. And I really want to say, I really want to, I really want people to understand that. Okay. This past week, I heard a podcast from a stakeholder, and it discouraged me because it was very biased. It was very slanted. Okay. So I am going to tell you that through this program, we are going to be honest. Okay. We are going to be factual. We're not going to sugarcoat things. We are not going to withhold or omit information because it may not be pleasant. Okay. That will not serve anybody's, that won't be to the benefit of anybody. Okay. And I want to start with two examples. Number one, and if you've, and this information is in the system, so I'm not going to go back and look at the links, but I've provided links to vendors out there who are currently actively marketing AI coding services. Okay. And, if you read some of the taglines, the mottos, whatever, okay, machines don't dread Mondays, and, slow and inefficient manual coding and other things that are said in these vendor, ads. Okay. And so, stakeholder number one is, you have to keep in mind, if an employer is considering implementing an AI process that may result in, the politically correct term is redundancy, but let's call a spade a spade. If it's going to result in loss of jobs, okay, you've got to be realistic. The employer is not going to go to their staff and say, look, we're going to be doing this, and in 6 months or a year or next week, you won't have a job. They're not going to do that. They need to keep you working productively without, distraction or anything until it serves their purpose. Okay. If you feel that scenario is different, great. We can have that difference of opinion. Okay. But historically, people are not given notice. If they are given notice, it's usually not much that they will be out of work. Okay. And in this particular case, again, I mean, if I was an employer and I went to my staff 6 months in advance and I said, you're not going to have a job in 6 months, I would, if I don't start losing people before the 6 months, which is my date of, my important date. I'm going to have 6 months of less, people aren't going to work harder during that 6 months. People are not going to be more engaged. They're not going to be happier about their job for that 6 months. So you just got to think about this realistically. Okay. I want to also point out that organizations that rely on annual fees from medical coders for their operating revenue, you've got to be honest. You got to be honest with yourself. Okay, you got to look at this realistically. If they look at a reduction, a substantial reduction, okay, and you can come up with whatever you think substantial is, but they're always trying to grow their membership. But if there's going to be a reduction in jobs, there's going to be a reduction in membership, there's going to be a reduction in revenue. So you've got to be realistic and understand that they are not they're not excited about having this conversation. Okay, so that is that. I just want to start there, and I really do want to. I really do want to unapologetically say that we are going to be straightforward, transparent, and honest. Okay, and before we get started with today's presentation, it is important for me to tell you. I have signed NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, with AI vendors, and seen the technology. Okay. So I am not speaking from speculation. I am speaking from observation. And that is really, really important for people to understand. Okay. I have had people tell me, "Oh, you're crazy. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you don't know any more than the next guy." Okay. Okay. No, you're right. Maybe I don't. So those are my thoughts. Okay. So let's first of all, I want to talk about some of the mindsets or some of the natural human tendencies that I want you to keep I want you to keep in mind, so that you don't end up having these statements when it's too late, such as, "I didn't think of it that way. I wish I had thought of that. I didn't know AI could do that. I underestimated AI. I was misled on the true impact of AI. I wish I had seen it, so it would have made more sense to me." And by the way, you will have the opportunity to see it, okay, or see, at least illustrations of it. "I only focused on the coding side of AI. I didn't focus on how IA changes and documentation will be game changing." So these are some of the things that you don't want to be that red guy. You don't want to be last in the race, okay? And you have taken a big step by being in this program, because look, I did an impromptu webinar about a week ago, and I had a manager on there who runs a team of 10. And we had a very candid, and I really appreciate her honesty and her willingness to speak, and share her thoughts. She runs a team of 10, and she is extremely vigilant of the fact that she's not even sure if she could be displaced. Okay, but if she's not displaced, and all of a sudden she has to trim her team from 10 to 5 or 3, she said that's gut wrenching. And but she recognizes that it's a very, very real and almost inevitable circumstance. So of course the question to her was, so how are you going to do that? And this is not rocket science, folks. If somebody has to go, who's going to go and who's going to stay? The best prepared are going to have the greatest chance of being retained. Okay. And one of the things that I really want people to understand and start thinking about, okay, before it's too late, is You may feel, and you may be right, that you may be very good at what you do right now. Okay. But if you are, so specialized that you do one thing, you need to understand that those who will be at the most have the biggest advantage, okay, as this evolves, are the well-rounded, the multi-skilled people. Because let's look at the most common code in the industry, which is, your outpatient office visit codes, or E&M codes, right? AI can handle those all day long. So the person who sits and codes E&M, let's say, so I'm gonna draw from my experience. I worked in a orthopedic practice with 10 physicians, and we also, each physician had their own PA or NP. Most of them were PAs, so we had 20 providers, and there were 3 of us. Okay. If that were today, and we were, and that practice was implementing AI that could now do all the E&Ms, that practice might only need 1 instead of 3. Who's going to stay? I was not, one of my colleagues, I mean, she was really good at the spine procedures, et cetera, et cetera. So, all things being equal, I may have been out, because she could do the E&M, which she and I were probably equal, at the E&M, but she was better at the spine. Okay, because AI is going to handle the bulk of the routine stuff. Okay, the human medical coders are going to be handling the more complex, rejected stuff. And it's not going to be any one type. It's going to be, it's going to be the spectrum. Okay. So my advice is, if you are I don't mean to be, learning to pivot. I like that. Somebody put in chat, it's about learning to pivot. And I like that word, pivot. But and I don't know how else to say this, so I don't mean to be any kind of derogatory or anything, but if you're a one-trick pony, you better learn a few new tricks, okay? Because if you don't, then you are going to be that red guy back here. You see the red guy? Okay, you want to be this guy up here, okay? So I hope that makes sense. And again, my job isn't here. I'm not here to scare people. I'm here to be real people. So today is just an overview. We're just going to talk about artificial intelligence, and there's so much to unpack. This is not a 1-hour subject. Okay, so I want everybody to understand that. And that's one thing I really also want to stress is we have been reduced to cell phones. We've been everybody wants bullet points. Everybody just give me what I need to know. If you have that approach, that may be very risky. Okay. I personally choose to be a sponge for information on this. I choose to, I don't want to be blindsided. I don't want to find out that, my need for instant gratification and short bullet points, cost me in the end. I don't want to be that person. And so hopefully you don't want to be that person. So we're going to look at the definition of artificial intelligence, historical overview of AI, and the importance of impact of AI in today's world, among other things. Okay. So what is the definition of artificial intelligence? And that's, in a way we could say like that's like the definition of love. Everybody has a different concept, or we all know what love is, but it's hardly concrete. But artificial intelligence is the ability of machines to perform tasks that are typically associated with human intelligence, such as learning and problem solving. AI research has been highly successful in developing effective techniques for solving a wide range of problems, from game playing to medical diagnosis. Okay. back in the 1990s, the IBM computer Watson, did pretty darn well against the world chess champion. Okay, now I wouldn't have done so well. I stink at chess, but you've got to keep these things in mind. You gotta, you can't be complacent about this. If well, you can be. I shouldn't tell you what you can and can't do. I wouldn't recommend being complacent about it. Okay, it's the person who is most prepared is going to have the biggest advantage. So there are many different definitions of AI, but they all share the common goal of creating machines that can think and act like humans. Okay. So some of the most common definitions include the ability of a machine to learn and improve its performance over time without being explicitly programmed. And, it's interesting. It's interesting how many people I ask the question, are you familiar with Chat GPT? And they say no. Okay. Well, by the time we're done here, we're actually going to take a look at it, and I suggest that you become familiar with Chat GPT, not because it is the healthcare related AI that we're going to be talking about, but it is eye opening. And if you aren't familiar with that, you are probably not familiar with the true. You haven't exposed yourself to the true capability of AI. Okay. In my opinion, the ability of a machine to reason, plan, and solve problems, the ability of a machine to understand and respond to natural language, the ability of a machine to perceive the world and act autonomously. Now, so that last one is probably still off in the future quite a bit, but let's look at that ability of a machine to understand and respond to natural language. Okay, and I actually have remember that one because I actually have a slide, and we'll talk about it when we get to that. Okay, so back when Dorothy was in Kansas, okay, with Toto, okay, this background, this is what technology, this is what computers were, many decades ago. A long time ago, but just yesterday, I say. Okay. Now, everything you see in the background on that screen is held in the palm of your hand. Okay. And so, one of the reasons I have this slide here is to reinforce the evolution is fluid and it's subtle. Okay. And so you've got to be vigilant because otherwise it can creep up on you. Okay. And so there'll be someone who will take away from this image here. Oh, well, yeah, but that took 60, 70 years or 50 years or whatever. Okay. And if that is as far as you can evolve your thinking on that, then who am I to say anything? But one of the major differences is, and in case you hadn't noticed, and technology is not evolving at the same pace that it used to. It's evolving far more rapidly, than it did, at times in the future. But I don't know. There might be some younger people on here who don't even know what a VHS tape is. But my God, there was an industry. There was an entire industry that evolved and disappeared in a matter of 20 years with the advent of the VHS tape and then the demise of the VHS tape. There were video rental stores all over this country, Blockbuster, huge corporation, okay, that came and went with the advent and the decline of the VHS tape, the VCR, okay. And I think the last VHS movie was released in 2004, 2005, 2006, somewhere in there. Okay, so just keep in mind that technology can be very elusive. okay, and keeping up with trends and advancements and such is, it's an avalanche now, okay, because of the acceleration and the frequency and the amount, okay. So I have three little images here, and so I was talking about. Remember, I was talking about. Uh, what was I talking about? The ability of a machine to understand and respond to natural language. Okay, and so at the top there we have an image from Word, and I wrote a sentence where every word is misspelled. Okay, and so Microsoft Word highlighted each word. The rabbit ate the carrot. Okay, but everything is misspelled. Is this AI? Huh. I guess it is a form of AI, but one of the simplest forms. Okay, and so remember that statement was the ability to not only recognize, okay, the ability to understand and respond to natural language. Okay, so now you might say, it's recognizing that these words are not in a dictionary and it's responding by highlighting. You could say that. Okay. It's not suggesting. AI can probably say, were you trying to say the rabbit ate the carrot? Okay. And that's the difference. Google or search engines, are they AI? I mean, they could fit a definition of AI. But they really filter information. Okay. They match key terms or phrases and return filtered results. Okay, which is still, you know, a form of AI. Okay, our encoders, right? Rule based type things. And by the way, I hope you all read or had the chance to or will have the chance to look at. There's two ebooks in the system. One was for free. The other was as part of the program. So and it. I'm sorry, my mouse is malfunctioning. So some of these are really like simple examples of AI and what we may think of as AI, but folks, it is far more advanced than that. Let's look at some other examples. GPS technology and your mapping technology or your mapping and directional, getting directions from a GPS or a map program, is a form of AI. Siri, Alexa, these have been around for quite some time. Okay. And these are the precursors, right? These were probably the rubber met the road, in the evolution of AI. Okay. But we're well beyond. We're well beyond these. And Siri and Alexa, it says Siri does more than ever before, even before you ask. Okay. Siri and Alexa are going to get a lot smarter and a lot smarter than us. Okay. So, so we kind of touched on this types of artificial intelligence, narrow AI. Okay. And we looked at some examples of that. The spell check is a narrow AI, general AI, super intelligent AI. Okay. And I'm not looking to delve, do the deep dive on these today. That's what the rest of the program is for. Okay. This is an overview. We're going to just touch on the high points, so that you can, at your own pace and at your own discretion, you can start, considering, contemplating, researching some of these things even as we go along. Examples of narrow AI applications: virtual assistant, right? Like image recognition, chatbots. Okay. Discussion on general AI and ethical considerations. So, we're going to have these discussions on general AI and the ethics of AI, of implementing AI. And we're certainly going to dive deep into exploring the concept of super intelligent AI. I want to try. It was funny because I was in a meeting with some AI developers, healthcare AI developers, and I've got to tell you, they showed me. They pulled up on their screen something, okay, that I think they thought they were going to have to, provide a whole bunch of technical explanation and such. But when they pulled it up on the screen, it was it was such a powerful. It wasn't an image because more, and they were it was a they were zooming in and zooming out on this data representation, and it made instant sense and an instant impact on me. And I'm not doing it today, but I'm going to try and replicate that. I want to do it responsibly. I didn't want to do it haphazardly, but I'm going to try and give you the experience that I saw. That if I think a 2-year-old, I think a 2-year-old it would make instant recognizable impact. Okay, so we're and is but the way I want to try and explain it is, imagine, we all think, right? We're all thinking, and there's a lot of going on in our brain. So, if you've ever like tried to conceptualize your thought process, where you got all these brain cells, and the zooming of information between these brain cells, the representation of that was one of the most powerful things I've ever seen in my life, and I'm going to try and responsibly replicate that in a future session for you, if we can't get them to come and show it themselves. So, what are some key components of artificial intelligence? Machine learning. Okay, and we'll be talking about the definition and basics of machine learning. Okay. So back to the spell check example. If you've ever used spell check and you've seen it say, this word's not in a dictionary, you want to add it to the dictionary? Well, that would be very simple machine learning, wouldn't it? You're teaching it, hey, this word, this word is a word. And this actually happens in medical. If you've ever done anything in Word, Word is not, does not have a super extensive vocabulary with medical terms. And so, if I'm typing a medical term into Word and it doesn't have it, I add it to the dictionary. So that's a very, very simple illustration of machine learning, right? Deep learning and neural networks. I'm not even going to try and do the deep dive on that today. Each of those would be a webinar in and of themselves. Natural language processing. And we're going to see this before we go today, okay? But, that is, if you type something into Google, okay, or, a search engine, it goes out and looks for a match, okay, and it returns that match. It does not respond to your language. It's matching terms, okay? Natural language processing, and hopefully, if you haven't seen ChatGPT, you will today, and you'll see, we've got a very simple example to show you, and it's if you are already familiar with ChatGPT, great. It won't be as it'll be like yeah. If you haven't seen ChatGPT or Bard, ChatGPT is not the only one out there. Bard, there's others. Okay, I think it would be eye-opening for you, or eye-raising at least. Computer vision. Okay, almost like, remember the Terminator? Or maybe I'm dating myself, but where he goes through the list of responses and comes up with a profane one. But computer vision, facial recognition. This is going on. This is going on in airports and bus stations. Okay, where the government is scanning faces to see if somebody they need to watch is recognized. So computers can, have vision. Okay. And when you combine all these different things, wow, what a powerful mess you got. And reinforcement learning. Okay. And so, we'll really look at how artificial intelligence learns, because one of the things that I think many people, believe is, like, especially medical coders, is, oh, well, it's going to take forever for them to have enough. They're learning from me coding records and my colleagues coding records. And it'll take forever for it to learn all the different. Well, yeah, don't that is reinforcement learning, but there's other types of learning to train AI. So resist knee-jerk, oversimplified explanations. Resist that. Okay, it's human nature. We all do it. But so, what are some real-world applications of AI? Healthcare, medical diagnostics, and personalized treatment. Okay. Um, first of all, if you look at CAT scans and MRIs, okay, that is, somewhat of that is a technological, evolution of AI, not to construct the image, but now, radiologists are a little on edge because AI can actually read a lot of different studies better than a trained radiologist can. Okay. There is a test that AI can determine lung cancer from a breath sample with an accuracy rate high in the 90s. Okay, so you know we're going to be looking at AI not just from a medical coding perspective, but from a universal perspective. And so let's look at some of these. Algorithmic trading, fraud detection and finance, self-driving cars. Let's talk to Elon and some others, self-driving cars, and we just talked about computer vision. Okay. So the computer can detect all. Here's the thing. Computers, there's nothing that you can do faster than a computer can do it. Okay. And so with the right array of sensors around a vehicle, the computer can process more information and keep track of more information. I got hit. I got hit because I didn't see the guy coming, or something like that. Well, that's because maybe you were watching the jerk to the left making a bad move, and the guy on the right making a bad move hit you. You know what I mean? So just keep in mind, and it's humbling. It may be unsettling a little bit, but it's okay. You can't possibly outperform a computer. You can't. So resign yourself to that fact. Okay. Um, Retail recommendation systems, finding what you need, and I mean, ask robotic automation, ask the auto industry, or in our field, ask the transcriptionists. Okay. So and here's the thing. A loaf of bread in 1950 was 10 cents. It's now $1.99. Okay. Things don't go backwards. Okay. So as this evolves, you need to either stay out in front of it, or get or be that little red guy that we were looked at earlier. Okay. Challenges and considerations in AI development. Okay, and so the first one is certainly a security concern, ethical concern, and it involves a lot of different aspects, but data privacy and security. Okay, now on the one hand, I think AI could, if designed right, maybe make things more secure. Okay, but but if there's a chink in the armor, if there's a vulnerability, it could be certainly a concern. Bias and fairness in AI. Okay, now I don't think AI can have a self-generated bias. Okay, it can have an inherent bias either by those who have programmed it or by limitation of its universe of knowledge to, to arrive at something. So something to consider. Job displacement versus job creation. And I really want to spend a minute on this. Okay. Because if you go, and search and, go into a search engine, you say, what is the labor impact of AI? And you're going to see, you're going to see a lot of positive statements about AI creating as many or more jobs as it displaces. So here's the thing. Again, don't oversimplify that statement. Okay. It's not a 1-for-1. So in other words, if it replaces every medical coder, it's not regenerating every medical coder job, right? So that is a simple net gain or net loss calculation. And I, for one, I have no interest in becoming I love building websites. I kind of love a certain piece of, of development technology, but I don't want to become a computer developer, computer programmer, a software engineer, etc. I have no interest in doing that. Okay. So if my job goes away, but other jobs are created in that arena, what does that do for me? That's not a consolation that other people had jobs created. I'm not interested in doing that. You know what I mean? So believe me, I'll always find something to do. It's just not that. I'll create my own. I'll create my own opportunity. I can wake up every morning creating my own opportunity. I'm all right with that. So, but a lot of people, have chosen this career, dedicated themselves to this career, often because they didn't want those other careers. They could have been computer coders versus medical coders. They chose medical coding. Why? Because they didn't want to be computer coders. So if the computer coding jobs are where the gain is going to be, now you're back to square one, right? So, and again, ethical concerns and responsible AI in its development and its implementation. And so, I want to go back to the employer thing. I'm not trying to bash employers, but organizations, companies do not, they're a collection of people who may have consciences, but a company does not have a conscience. Okay. And the people who run the company have one primary goal. Every business is in business. Why? To make money. Okay. To profit. And it's no secret and if you're not aware, just go do a little bit of research. Healthcare organizations, health systems, hospitals, medical practices are all facing tighter and tighter and tighter and more severe budgetary, adversity. Okay. And so you've got, this is where, in that podcast that I listened to this week, they really wanted to redirect the listener's attention, and they used some apples to bowling balls comparisons, and I thought it was really irresponsible and unethical for them to do this. Look. The CIO, the Chief Information Officer, the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer, and the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, are all sitting around, okay? And the Chief Information Officer says, yeah, this platform is accurate and speedy. And the CFO says, well, that's going to save us 50% on our labor, which is already 50% of our budget. And the CEO says, do it. Okay. So So, folks, don't kid yourself. Don't, one of the things I should have put in that list of things that you don't want to look back and say, I've heard people say, "Oh, not my company. They need me. They need me to do this." Hey, folks, this is why we're doing this, because I want to give everybody a very genuine, authentic, transparent, um, uh, exploration of this. Okay. Future trends in artificial intelligence. Okay. Look, I said things don't go backwards. The loaf of bread at 10 cents in 1950 is not $1.98 now. Okay. Uh, things don't regress. Okay. Integration of AI with other technologies. This is as this fabric gets woven, it's going to be a tighter, neater, fabric. Okay. AI in scientific research, um, it's really important to understand again, uh, what AI is compared to what computers have done up until this point. Okay. And we want to really be vigilant of the continued role of AI in business and in everyday life. And AI is all around. We're if it were water, we'd be soaking wet. Okay, we'd be underwater. Okay, well, that's how immersed in AI we are. We just may not necessarily recognize it. Okay, or stop to think about it. So here is something I want to, and this was in that the one of the ebooks that I put out there. Okay. If you are not familiar with Chat GPT, you are about to be. We're going to take a look at it. Okay. But you can, hold your breath and close your eyes and ignore it and pretend it's not there, but it's still going to be there. My dog does that to me all the time. But when I tell her to go lie down or something, she'll look the other way. So if she can't see me, she thinks she can't hear me. So, but to remain, at your full advantage of marketability, retention, everything. If you ignore AI, it's gonna blindside you. Okay, so I really do suggest. I can't make anybody do anything. I can't, but I do suggest that you be as familiar with AI as you can be. And so we're going to do a simple exercise here. Okay. And so I'm going to read it because I wrote this, put it in a book, and now I'm reading it. So, but if we visit an internet search engine and input the following quote: "Write an operative report for an appendectomy for a ruptured appendix and include CPT procedure codes and ICD-10 codes." How many people think Google will do that for me? Or Bing or whatever? Probably not. Okay. If we place it in an encoder, 3M, Vinaco, whatever. If we paste that into the search, do you think it's going to do that for us? And then we're going to do it with Chat GPT. So let's give that a whirl. Okay. Hold on one second. Let me pull up my. Okay. So I have copied my statement, and we are going to. Let's go to Google. Okay, good old Google. I've copied my statement and I'm pasting it in there just as I read it to you. Obviously, it won't. You can't see the full text in that field, but let's see what it does. So it gives us tips for medical coding and reporting appendectomy. It did not. I asked. I asked it to write an operative report for an appendectomy for a ruptured appendix. Did it write one for me? No, it did not. Okay. So, and let's go to. I don't know why this keeps doing this. Okay. So it's for codes or words. So let's type that into here. Oh, I don't even know how that did that, but okay. So I mean, it's matching. Look at this; it's highlighting. It's highlighting A's or keywords or whatever. So it's not performing the action that I asked it to perform, right? So neither of those did that. Okay, folks, if you have not seen it before, here's Chat GPT. Okay, very simple. Can't get much more simple looking than this, but don't let looks deceive you. Okay, so I'm asking it to write an operative report for an appendectomy for a ruptured appendix and include CPT and procedure codes and ICD-10 CM codes. Let's see what happens. So not only is it writing the operative report for me, right? But it is assigning the code because it understood what I asked it to. Google didn't understand that I was requesting it to take an action and it didn't provide the action, right? ChatGPT understood that this is natural language processing. This is an example of natural language. It understood this command that I gave it, and then it performed that command. Okay, and I had put in there a ruptured appendix because that's a different CPT code than an appendectomy for a non-ruptured. Okay, and this is the right code for an appendectomy with removal of ruptured appendix with drainage of paraappendiceal abscess or local peritonitis. Okay, so it wrote the report the way I asked it to write it, and then it assigned the right code. Now, and it wrote, you might say, well, but it assigned a different code for, oh no, so when I did it before, it actually had nausea and vomiting, but it's responding to the report that it wrote. Okay, but folks, you could, if you didn't see me do this, I could hand this to a coder that codes, uh, surgeries all the time, and they wouldn't know that this was created by AI. Okay, and so this is there's something else I really want to point out. Okay, and I said this in the beginning that we're going to talk about AI on a far more broad basis than just medical coders, okay? Because you've got to understand and integrating. We talked about it, integrating, right? So think about some of the scenarios. Let's say history of, big conundrum, right? Providers say history of. So Microsoft Word would never ask the provider, you said history of, and I see cancer. Do you mean, and it can actually generate a query before, on the fly, or it can fact check the provider on the fly. Okay. So you've got to understand that, this is going to be integrated into not just medical coding, but documentation, etc. So, so really you've got to, somebody said that would be great, especially for risk. And I don't even want to scare you with what I've seen about risk. Okay. But think that statement through. You said that'll be great, especially for risk. I want you to sleep on that. I want you to think think through that, 4 and 5 layers deep. Okay. If it would be great for the outcome of documentation in risk adjustment. I'm not sure how great you would think it is. Yes, the clarification, sure. But that clarification may cost a risk adjustment coder their job, right? So, or a role, it could cost risk adjustment coding roles. Okay. So, did you see how fast this wrote an operative report and assign the codes. Folks, you would not even have gotten to the index of either the procedure manual or the what there's first of all, you'd have to if you're coding this, you'd have to read the report, you'd have to identify that it was ruptured versus not. Did you see how fast it did this? Okay. And if you think that this is some illusion or fantasy, oh, I certainly hope that throughout the program we bring you closer to the that word that's in the title of the program of reality. This is not fantasy; it's reality. I've used this to write a business letter at one sentence. The speed and clarity of the verbiage is amazing. It is. Now, one of the things that we also have to understand, okay, and if you look in the ebook, how are we on time? I think that would be too in the ebook. I also not because I don't want to be like Dougie Downer and the Grim Reaper here. I did do a similar example with injections and infusions, and AI really didn't do so well. Okay. But here is the thing. Okay. First of all, there's a lot of coders that don't understand injections and infusions. A lot. Okay. And get it wrong, and etc. And that was ChatGPT that didn't do too well with injections and infusions. ChatGPT is one of the things that you have to understand is I doubt. And by the way, did you see this? It even did the PCS code. But ChatGPT may not have access to the trademarked, copyrighted version of CPT, and it might have been getting this information from other sources, etc. So ChatGPT is not. It was not developed to be healthcare specific, and was not fortified with the rules and details, etc. Okay, so for a very generalized application, this did an amazing job. And I know of one organization, and it happens to be one of the largest employers of medical coders in this country. And I remember reading articles from them 8 years ago where they were working on AI. So folks, don't kid yourselves and think, oh, this is, ChatGPT hit the market, just about 10 months ago. Don't think that people are just, healthcare organizations are just jumping on this bandwagon. They're not, okay? And the AI developers are not, okay? So don't be very careful if you have a thought. Be very careful not to accept your initial thought as fact. It may not be, and that's where I really encourage, one of the things is discussion. I really hope to foster some good discussion in this program amongst the registrants. Okay. And hopefully we can clarify, if somebody is misunderstanding or something, and it's not to criticize them. I hope that we can bring people to clarity for their own benefit, oh yeah, providers, look, I see a day where, look, we just really did it. We just showed you it wrote the note and then it coded the note. That is, I believe, the eventuality. You know what I mean? So the only way I would be able to tell if an op report was written by AI versus my docs was if it was submitted this complete and no misspelled words. I used to I had a contract with this company that basically they did billing and something, and one of the clients was a major teaching hospital, and there was a foreign doctor who so it was his vernacular. Okay, so there was like almost like an accent that came through in the way he wrote, but also he was a terrible typist. Okay, and so if he was typing something, He might have been like the cat next door. Like like he was a terrible typist. And so there was a language barrier, and then I mean it was torture to read his notes, And so that's pretty funny. Yes. It's gonna be this is look, it's no secret that providers see documentation as an evil, unnecessary burden. Okay. So you can't, you're kidding yourself if you are not observing the fact that, to allow providers to focus more on patient care, the objective is going to reduce that burden and that recalcitrance, the unfortunate thing is maintaining the roles and the level of staffing in medical coding is absolutely going to be the last consideration. Okay. So, I mean, you just got to be real about that fact. Okay. So, that is, did somebody, I think somebody, I see somebody type something. I agree with that objective. I just worry about the human. Look, that's why we're doing this. Okay. There is going to be a human impact. You're kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself if you believe otherwise that there won't be a human impact. There will be. Is there going to be zero medical coders? No, not for a long. Not. I'm sure that won't be the case for a long time. Okay, because even if 1 out of 10 records gets rejected and needs human eyes, we still need that. People to handle that 1 out of 10. Okay, but it's going to be a more diverse range. And, so that one person is going to need to be able to handle the more diversified, more complex cases. Okay. And, but there is, the human medical coder is going to be collateral damage in this evolutionary process. You've got to understand that. And so, and so I've heard people say, well, I'll just find another industry. Folks, this is not just the medical field. This is the AI is water, is like a rainstorm. Anything in its path is going to get wet. Okay. So, I mean, why not just be the best prepared coder that you can be, unless you want to go be an AI developer or one of those new roles that they say will be will be in the net gain of opportunities. Okay, that's great if you want to do that. If you have dedicated yourself to this field for this long, then we're just and somebody else said, and this is not my words, this is somebody in chat, it's here, it's not on the way. That is 100% correct. Okay. And again, in the first email on the course page, we have links. There are vendors out there marketing this right now. You do not know if they're talking to your organization right now or not. You just don't. And chances are you will not until it's too late, until it's bad news, But it is not on the way. It is here. That is true. Okay. So that is my little demonstration with ChatGPT. And if you haven't seen ChatGPT before, you have now. And so I had everybody muted. I always have to do that because there's always one person who doesn't mute. We hear dogs slamming, dogs barking, doors slamming, cats meowing. So I am going to unmute everybody now. And if anybody wants to speak, you may speak. If you do not want to speak, you can type in the chat. If you want to remain absolutely silent, you can do that too. Do we have any questions?
Hi, Doug. This is Kathy. I just had a real quick question. Is there a free? Is ChatGPT free or any of these?
100%. So there's a free version and there is a paid version. Okay.
Okay.
To become familiar with, all you need, you only need the paid version if you're going to use it for commerce, or you know what I mean. So no, what I just showed you is the free version. Okay. There's also Bard, which is BARD, and that's produced by Google.
Okay.
I find even ChatGPT is only trained up with information up to 2021. I find, and ChatGPT was was released 6 months before Bard was, etc. I find ChatGPT to be far better. Okay. Now,
Okay.
I started to say, and I'm glad you brought that up, because it reminded me. I started to say, look, the information's not always right. Let's see. I want to see. Hold on one second. I want to see if I can get it to do it again. Hold on one second, folks. I had an argument. I had an argument with ChatGPT one time, and let's see if I can pick another fight. Okay. You guys can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Let's see. I'm a terrible typist, by the way. So I'm gonna fix that. Okay. So how many HCCs are there? How many HCCs are there in the Medicare Advantage risk adjustment? You know what? Maybe it was, so 84. Okay, it says 84. Okay, and it is telling it. It's like, as of my last knowledge update in September 2021. Okay, it's at 84. Which there was never truly 84. It went from 79 to 83 to 86, and now 115. Okay, so and in this case, first of all, let's note that it is identifying to you that its information may not be correct. Right. This is different than the argument I was able to pick with it one time, and so I can't. Obviously, I'm not using the same prompt that I did. I didn't ask the same question, but I got into an argument with it. I shouldn't say an argument, a debate. Okay, but I would say, well, no, that's wrong because, and then it would go back and it would be like, you know what? And it always says, I'm sorry, which is very polite. It always says, I'm sorry, you're right. And then it learns, and it learns, so I'm wondering if maybe I'm getting a different result because of the conversation we had at a prior time. But so one of the things I did want to say is, just like anything else, you have to be aware of the fact that it may not always produce accurate information. So never, at this point, never rely on ChatGPT. Don't bet your life on it. So, it's not to say that you should be wary of every single word that use it judiciously, because it is, but and so here people use that as an argument of, well, you see, that's why we're not going to have that's why my job is going to be secure. It's yes, it's learning. Somebody said it is learning, and it's not, the companies that are putting investment, just like self-driving cars. You can't say self-driving cars are not advanced because ChatGPT got an answer wrong. You know what I mean? You're comparing apples to bowling balls there. Okay. Which on that podcast, I got to tell you, because this is really under my skin. On that podcast, they tried to say that, oh, don't worry, they said with the implementation of EHRs that it would cost a lot of jobs, and it didn't, and look how expensive the implementation of EHRs was. And they even correctly note that the implementation of EHRs was mandated. Okay. there is no comparison. Okay. This is not mandated. Okay. Yes, going from paper to digital was an expensive proposition. Okay. Where is the comparison there? Okay. We're already a digital world. This is a bunch of, computer geeks sitting around teaching that those digital cells how to think on their own. Okay, there's just no comparison. Just no comparison. But in my opinion, that was a organization with a financial interest trying to avoid a panic. And I'm not trying to create a panic, but I'm certainly not trying to redirect people, people's thought process with flawed statements. You know what I mean? So be very careful. Just be very careful. That is my suggestion, and that is the overview for today. Does anybody have any questions? Do you know how often GTP will be updated? It's apparent it knows the limited information. So ChatGPT 3 in February took a medical licensing exam and scored somewhere in the 60s. Okay. ChatGPT 4 in March took the same, took a similar exam and scored in the high 90s. Okay. So, be very careful with what your interpretation of knows the limited information is. Believe me, it's got more information than your brain does. Okay. And it's got access to virtually limitless information. Okay. It's updated. It's not. I can't say, like the next time the clock, both hands on the clock point straight up, it's midnight. I can't say anything like that. It's updated frequently. I believe that there's a reason, why it's only up to 2021, etc. So that's a question. And I have access to AI developers, okay, but not the AI developers that develop ChatGPT. And so, that's something that we'd have to ask the developers specifically of ChatGPT, and I don't know, there may even be, there's a website, OpenAI, who created ChatGPT, may have an explanation on their website, but I don't. So the question is, do I know how often? No, I mean, it's regularly being updated, and there's often a statement, just updated, etc. But I can't give you anything to hang your hat on as far as that goes. So anything else? Anybody else? So I have a question. And so anybody, if you want to, wait, I see a message here. Somebody has a hand raised. So JS, do you have a question? It's telling me you have your hand raised, and I'm just like, you've been typing. Well, except that I know, but my menu is telling me that JS has their hand. Oh, okay, now it's gone. So okay, and so I have a question. Okay, for people who paid for this program, the $25. Okay, I don't plan on giving the program away for free because, I mean, look, do you work for free? I don't work for free. I'm not looking to be a billionaire. Okay. So I'm not charging $1,000, although I could, because this course will be that effective. But I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding. So is anybody going to, feel slighted or any kind of way if I put this first, if I put this first, session out there for people to view and understand? Is anybody that has paid $25 going to feel any kind of way? because this is just the first session of many, many, many. It's also, there's also resources in the system. That no, okay, I see a no. How about a yes? Is there anybody who's going to feel like all good here? Okay, so no, all good here. I just want to see if there's any protest because I do think it will be beneficial for people to see this session and truly understand it. So thank you. I don't see any protests, so I think I might do that. Put that out there for people to see. And if I may ask one more question, has today's information been useful, informational? Is it anything? Did everybody have a better understanding or a better compass on AI? Also, while you contemplate your answers on that, I have so if we are implementing an AI program right now in one of our coding practices, approximately does it take, I think it's supposed to say approximately how long, approximately does it take to implement it and to learn for that specialty before it learns enough to be able to replace us? Months, years. Okay. So first of all, that is, you don't know. This is not like a stem cell, that is created into a cell. Okay. That if you're implementing an AI right now, it's already got training. Okay. So, and I think it's a decline kind of thing. And the more it sees, the more it learns, so, here's that. So that's a question we will ask our AI developers. Okay. Cause I can't answer that, with responsibility, but our AI developers could probably give us a better estimation. But, that would be a question for an AI developer and the specific one that you are implementing, and you'd probably get pushback from, not necessarily from them, but it might sour their relationship with your organization, because your organization probably doesn't want to answer that question. You know what I mean? So you've got to understand, it's like when you were a kid and the adult, they're sitting at the kids' table on Thanksgiving or whatever, the adults were talking adult talk, so we're like the kids. We're like the kids right now. There's only so much the powers that be want you to know until they're ready for you to know it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we're doing this, so you can know as much as you can, without relying on sources that may have a different motivational point. Okay. We need to, so here's a comment from somebody: we need to keep up and stay ahead, or at least keep up with the curve before it runs us over. Yes. I agree. And somebody says, I need AI to assist in my writing. My God, assist. It can write anything you want for you, then you just need to fact check it. But it is. It's a new frontier. You gotta recognize it. It's a new frontier. It's just for some of us who remember before there were computers, and I remember before there were computers, and then if you remember dial-up internet, remember that? Bonk, bonk, I mean, just it's not going to be any value to look back and say, holy smokes, I didn't, you got to stay on top of it. Otherwise, as somebody said, this is not me saying this. This is somebody wrote in chat. We need to keep up and stay ahead, or at least keep up with the curve before it runs us over. You don't want to realize that you were, nonchalant about it after you get run over. You don't want that happening. And they are completely doing the adult. This is somebody in chat. They are completely doing the adult talk right now, telling all the managers to reassure us that we're not losing our jobs. Of course. But hey, here we go. Okay. there's going to come a point, okay, where they unless they are absolutely sadists, okay, that they tell you one day you're not going to be losing your jobs, and the next day you get laid off. So in that particular instance, I wouldn't be concerned while they're telling you that you're not going to lose your job. It's when that rhetoric stops and you're still working and there's silence on the matter, there's probably a clue. So so and there's no secret decoder ring, there is no lie detector or truth detector or progress detector. This is every man for himself, every woman for herself, and you need your best defense is vigilance. That's your best, and it's your best plan. Okay, vigilance and making sure that this is going to be survival of the fittest. You better go to the gym. Okay, the medical coding gym. Okay. In your estimate, Doug, which are more likely to implement AI, private practices or larger institutions? And I've thought about this. Absolutely neither one more the other. Okay. Look, cost savings is cost savings. Okay. And the benefits are the benefits. Okay. A small 2 or 3 doctor practice, okay, who is, running a fine line that can save 50% on, or, whatever on their labor, it's going to be a no-brainer. Okay. A big healthcare organization, health system, health plan, whatever, okay, may have more wiggle room, but 50% of the labor savings is still going to be, so I don't see, and this is going to be a cost-effective solution. We're going to see if we can get somebody to answer this question, somebody who has the definitive answer. Okay. I cannot imagine a scenario. I can't imagine a universe where an AI vendor goes to an organization and says, the weekly, monthly, annual cost is going to be more than your current labor is. Yeah, it's not. It's going to be so. The cost savings are going to be there. The question is going to be accuracy. Accuracy and I'm not going to go there. I don't want to be but there's a lot of inaccuracy in coding as it is. So the bar is not set at 100% as it is. So I imagine the sellers have targeted their marketing efforts. Folks, I've provided the links, and I only provided links that are publicly available. Okay. So if you want to save yourself some research, they're on the course site. Okay. And if you want to go do the research on your own, go do the research on your own. They are marketing. They're already marketing to their target audience, to the target market. So who is the largest provider of AI? I don't want to mention names, number one. And but one of the largest employers of medical coders, as I said, I read articles from them 8 years ago describing that they were working on AI. And I will tell you that on their website right now, I'm going to quote this: machines don't dread Mondays, and how to save billions in needless back end costs. Okay, so and that's from one of the largest employers of medical coders in this country. I don't know how those statements could be taken positively from a medical coder. So large. This is not me. This is I'm reading a chat. A chat message here. Large are definitely moving forward right now. 2 years ago, they attempted to go with a CAC, and that was but CAC, computer assisted coding, is not the AI we're talking about. Computer assisted coding is a coder puts an input, like a procedure, and it's a decision tree, and it's a linear. It says, well, was there, like in the code, in the appendectomy example, was there an abscess or wasn't there an abscess? Was it an open approach or a closed approach? Okay. AI would read the words and know whether it was open or not, whether there was so computer assisted coding. And again, we can't teach this all in 1 hour. Okay. But be very careful about that computer assisted coding nomenclature. That is like a VHS tape in my eyes. Okay. So thank you for this, Doug. It has sparked my interest, and I have to hop off. So wish you all good night. So thank you. And then yes, that is what I was thinking when we learned of this switch. Yeah. So folks, look, I'm not here to tell you, what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen. We know the direction it's going in, and we can only follow the breadcrumbs as it evolves. That's what's going to happen. There's going to be evolutionary waypoints, and if you're not paying attention to them, so CAC reminds me of a popular encoder. They actually put the name. Yes, that is exactly that product that you mentioned is CAC, computer assisted coding. So, folks, thank you for being here in this session. This is the first of many. We're going to explore this to its outer boundaries, to its deepest levels, and we're going to keep everybody informed and well informed. And again, I'm not going to make any apologies. We're going to be honest. We're going to be honest, and and I try not to interject too much opinion. I think that's impossible. I think it's impossible never to have, some bias a little bit, but I try to state when it's my opinion, and I also don't try to redirect people's thinking to avoid. I don't have a financial interest. If every coder in this country loses their job, I guess because you are my customers, I would have a financial. I don't have a deep financial because I could go do something else tomorrow. Okay. Matter of fact, I already do other things. So, so I am not anchored in this. I'm not a house of cards that's going to be blown over by this. Okay. There are stakeholders who are, and you've got to be mindful of that. So, is there a weekly meeting? Yes, every Monday, same time. Every Monday, same time. And if you can't make it, they're recorded for on demand. So a week from today is the answer to that question. And I'm seeing a lot of thank yous. No, thank you for being here with us, and thank you for being I think it's a sign of professionalism that you are here taking care of yourself, taking care of your career, and again, this is going to be integrated into the work of coders. So this is not just a sounding the alarm. We're going to learn about this thing called AI so that it can be used effectively to lengthen and grow your career. So that's what I got for you today, folks. We will see you in the next session a week from today. Thanks, everybody.